One of the first videos I ever made was on the nature of proof. It was on the nature of determinism, the concept of proof, and how all we have is theory, and that proof is merely a probabilistic approximation based on not even knowns, but things that are falsely accepted as knowns. You know, look at mathematics. The only reason mathematics works is we start out with a bunch of axiomatic ideas, a bunch of formulas that are believed a priori to be true before the fact. It's the only reason any of it works. We start out, we drew the lines on the fucking map. People forget that we drew the lines on the map. They forget that science is based on faith. I don't even know where to begin to deconstruct the geopolitical macro-financial reality anymore. I don't think there's anyone out there that I can explain shit to, and they're actually going to fucking understand what I have to say. Meanwhile, the alternative news community is full of people who every other fucking week they're like, oh my god, the markets are going to crash. Oh, we're all going to die. Oh my god, the sky is falling. World War III, thermonuclear exchange between superpowers. It's as if they don't understand that there actually is a new... They talk about it all the time, about a global elite, but it's as if they don't understand that the world was actually completely stolen through fraud and deception by these people. And that they had basically... Hell, they thought they had even Russia. They thought after the Bolshevik era and after Gorbachev and Perestroika, they thought they had Russia on lockdown. Hell, they still have the banking sector on lockdown. That's the one thing that the Putin faction and all these other ex-KGB mobsters have not been able to get their fucking hands on. I mean, you want to know where the spy versus spy is? It's in the fucking finance sector. It's in the banking sector. Yeah, they still have not managed to chase out all of the Rothschild, Rockefeller, minion, New World Order fucking puppets. They still, even though they've taken everything else back, including like all the heavy industry, they still are completely at the mercy in many respects of the New World Order banking cartel. That's one of the big hooks. That's why they have to get into bed with China. They know the Putin faction knows China's a New World Order proxy. They're not stupid. And you know what else? They're not going to start a thermonuclear war because they're not stupid. If there is ever a thermonuclear exchange, it'll be because, the hijacked Western powers or hijacked Eastern powers, set off a nuke and blamed it on Russia. But Russia's never going to fucking pull the trigger because they're not stupid. Putin's got his eye on the ball, or the Putin faction who actually informs him. They collectively have their eyes on the ball. They understand they're the last bastion of... We could sit here and talk about it and go, I think that maybe Russia might be the last bastion of... No, they fucking understand they're the last bastion of Western civilization. There's no debate. Meanwhile, the average person in America is debating celebrity fucking gossip. And speaking of celebrity gossip, Alex Jones has become an egotistical moron who's more concerned about piling up enough cash to leave the country if the shit ever does jump off. I've been not wanting to say a lot of this for a long time, but you know what? Seeing Trump on InfoWars today touting mass surveillance in response to the latest engineered false flaggery as the New World Order, marshals their little rented jihadi army around and stages. Look at the latest Look at the latest shooting in California. Okay. Here we have another wonderful little gun control psyop pump. Another little wonderful PR pump. Here's the thing. If you want to do PR, you got to put out a spot, once a week. You got to keep hitting people with it. It's Goebbelsian. You got to just keep repeating the big lie until the cacophony has overwhelmed people. And the average person is a fucking retard, so they're going to be overwhelmed pretty damn easily. So all you got to do is just keep pumping that shit out there. And we can't even militate against it effectively. Why? Because we have to prove everything. We're a bunch of Sir Nerdlington pussy motherfuckers. The alternative media is a bunch of limp-wristed fucking jagoffs who are more interested in garnering clout and getting power and fame. And they're loving... Look at Luke Rudkowski, for instance. Luke Rudkowski, whatever the fuck, however we pronounce his name. Look at this fucking stoner jagoff, Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when it does become a license for intellectual laziness, and just look at him, he's just bouncing around enjoying his little mini celebrity and the cushy money that he makes off of the truth movement while doing fuck all. Oh, I'm confronting people. That's real journalism. That's really doing something. No, it isn't. You're not doing anything by confronting these people. It's not effective at all. And they're like, people will say, well, but it's good PR for us and for the truth movement. It galvanizes the truth movement. Bullshit, it galvanizes the truth movement. I don't see any fucking traction. Are we taking back the Congress of the... It's like Eric Hunsaker. Eric Hunsaker is going to sit over there at Nanex and sell people data and bitch and piss and moan. And the Tylers, who barely understand what's going on, will bitch and piss and moan. And even Washington's blog, who's an exemplary writer and does wonderful little copy pasta articles, that puts all the data out there. I mean, he's one of these guys who his whole job is, here's all the proof. Here's as much proof as we can possibly get. Okay, great. You've got all the proof. Guess what? People are so demoralized it doesn't matter. You could show them a black placard and a white placard that are empirically, it's like they're colorblind. They can't differentiate. They're so fucking demoralized. Paul Joseph Watson is an idiot with the geopolitical acumen of a fucking damp rag. And he enjoys his celebrity and, oh, I'm so popular and famous, and let me just make a bunch of half a neocon fucking comments and have other half a neocon human resource biological androids blowjob me for it. Oh, look at me, I'm so smart and important. We're just as bad. The alternative news community is just as bad as the mainstream media on some level. Because frankly, I'm at a point now where I honestly couldn't tell you which is worse. Being totally asleep or being partially awake. I'm starting to think being partially awake is actually the more dangerous of the two. It's a lot like snarky douchebags who, if you try to talk to them about something like, vaccines and I don't mean all vaccines, but clearly there's a lot of vaccines out there, and some of them aren't even vaccines, they're just adjuvant cocktails, triggering cytokine storms. I mean, it's ridiculous. But you try to talk to them about stuff like this, and they always have these snarky, smarter than thou. Science has become a new religion with its own fucking high priesthood who deign, and pronounce. They make pronunciations from a pulpit, and they have little thronging people, like all the people who follow around Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's black and a scientist, so everything he says is just, it's lovely, I love it. If you try to explain anything to them that is controversial, they will lock you in a fucking tower like Galileo. What's worse, they will sit outside the tower and make snarky, douchebaggy comments like, Rachel Maddow or something. They'll make like, what do you think, electromagnetic fields, like Wi-Fi being everywhere, you think that's bad for you, for organic tissue? Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's wonderful. Everything's wonderful. Vaccines are wonderful. Democracy is wonderful. Nobody can even differentiate between democracy and constitutional republics. Eric Hunsaker, the Tylers, will sit there and bitch and piss and moan about the SEC and the CFTC, they're not doing their jobs. Yeah, no shit they're not doing their jobs, morons. The United States is a fucking hijacked country. No shit they're not doing their jobs. They're not, no, in reality, they are doing their jobs, because they've been hired to sit there and toe the line and make sure the fraud continues. So they're doing their jobs great. The only thing is, you're confused about the nature of those organizations, which is bizarre because then they also openly admit that there's a revolving door between the banking cartel and the SEC. Well, there it is on its face. Oh, but we don't want to talk about that, though. We don't really want to say, there's a new world order, and elites get together and have a plan, and we're their fucking slaves, and if we don't organize politically, it's just going to keep happening. No, but we can write articles and get famous and enjoy our celebrity, and we could say, gosh darn, that SEC, you guys are a bunch of crooks, and this pension fund, and that hedge fund, and grown-ass children swimming around in the foreground analysis and making... There are hundreds of thousands of people who make an entire career out of dicking around in the foreground analysis. And even if you wanted to explain shit to people and hand them the real codifying synthesis, Most people don't even want to hear it. They don't want to know. They don't. Everybody pretends to care about the truth, but they don't. They don't actually care about the truth. You know what they care about? Fame, money, power. It's just a means to an end discussing this material for them. You know, at least the alternative news community, most of them, don't really want to sit at the right hand of the elite. They don't want to be evil and they don't want to participate. But that doesn't make their naivete or stupidity good. The fact that you won't serve the devil doesn't mean that dropping the ball is good. You're getting us all fucked either way. It doesn't matter which one you do. In fact, like I was saying, it's worse to drop the ball. It's worse to have a bunch of half-educated people who are just awake enough to realize how badly they're getting fucked, but not awake enough to really orient themselves and then organize politically. Donald Trump on InfoWars, touting mass surveillance in response to, the latest false flaggery being... It doesn't matter whether it's wholly synthetic or it's merely systemically promulgated, okay? Whether it's a wind-up toy, rent-a-jihadi, proxy army, or whether it's, highly coordinated operation like 9/11, at the end of the day, it's pretty fucking irrelevant. How? What matters is why. I'm so fucking demoralized. But I'm not going to let it get to me. I'm just going to bury all my fucking heroes, and then I'm going to move on. And I'm going to focus on personal well-being and making money. I'm just going to start, my whole life. I've tried to be a good man. Not my whole life, but ever since I was about 13. At 13, I was on my way to being Donald Trump. I think I'm going to put myself back on that road. Because nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit if you're a good man. God does, but what do I care about my fucking immortal soul? What good is that? I'm full of shit. But I'm not going to try anymore. I'm not going to become evil, but I'm not going to try anymore. And I am going to focus more. I am going to be more selfish. It's fucking pointless. I make videos, I might get 200 views. I make videos going deep, deep, deep into the fucking background and underlying reality of subjects. And I don't get shit for traction. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of fucking people in the alternative news community who do like avant-garde, in-depth looks at the microcosm of some New World Order operation, which could be summed up in 2 sentences. All you need to do is orient people and let them know what the fuck is going on, and then it's no good. But instead, we are obsessed with proof, and that's why we get fucked. The enemy doesn't need proof, and they don't care. But we have to be a bunch of Sir Nerdlingtons, and everything has to be proof, and it has to be in triplicate. Otherwise people won't believe us. Well, who gives a shit whether or not people believe us? It's not about whether or not a bunch of fucking brain-dead idiots believe us. I'm not interested in waking people up anymore. I don't care if a bunch of brain-dead idiots don't believe what I have to say. I'm not going to waste my time assembling fucking copy pasta for you, so like Washington's blog, so that you can pat yourself on the head and feel intellectually superior and feel, well, but we now have the proof. You don't have the proof. Even if you put all the information together, like for instance, we know the revolving door between the cartel and the SEC is part of the reason that, the markets are rigged. But it's way more complex than that. And even if we have meticulous proof of all of this and we show it to people, they still don't care and they're not going to listen to it. And most people are not going to, they don't give a shit. They don't know. They've been raised to fucking not to be able to think. They've been taught trivium quadrivium. They don't fucking have the capacity to reason. They're demoralized sheep. And that is what they will remain. It makes me feel like I'm working for the wrong fucking team. Because the New World Order, they get all of this. They don't have to explain shit to anybody. They don't have to prove shit or explain shit to anybody. Their power is proof. And then I got guys like Alex Jones who are just like, he's not going to ask Donald Trump any real questions. And people say, well, this was his first interview with Trump. He doesn't want to ask. He doesn't want to hit too hard. The guy's probably going to end up president. A, No, he's not even going to get the GOP nomination. They're going to screw us again like they did with Ron Paul. It's going to go to Jeb, and Jeb's going to take a fall for Hillary. And even if he did get the fucking nomination and Trump becomes the next president, look at this guy and some of the shit that he said. You want this guy to be your president? People say, well, he's the lesser of two evils. And hell, I agree with you. On a purely logistical basis, he is the lesser of two evils. I used to listen to Donald Trump every day on fucking Imus in the morning. You don't got to tell me this shit. It's not like I don't fucking know this. I'm a fucking capitalist. I'm a businessman. I got respect for Donald Trump on some level, but on another level, I also understand he's a consummate fucking insider, who will do whatever the hell it takes. And people say, well, maybe that's a good thing, though. Maybe he's shrewd and, This guy clearly does not understand the geopolitical reality of the fucking planet that he lives on, okay? And I don't even think Ron Paul did Ron Paul really understand the implications of what ending the Fed would do, for instance? Did he understand that the empire would strike back? I mean, let's analyze for a second what it would mean to end the Fed, okay? Let's say we audited the Federal Reserve System. Let's say we shut down the Federal Reserve System and the IRS. The New World Order would hit us with everything they've got. Let's look at what we would actually be doing if we ended the Fed. We would be shutting down the front end, and only the front end, of just the North American, division or segment of the global banking cartel. And the global banking cartel is just one aspect, just one chunk, just one vector within this larger component vector of the New World Order. Sure, it's a core primary vector, but nevertheless, they have stolen the planet. They're running China. They're running the entire Asian fucking region. From India through China. They're running Africa through China, through the United States, through AFRICOM. We're the fucking pit bull. China does the business. They've hijacked the United States. They've got all of Latin America under their thumb. There's no one left, people. There's no one left. They've disarmed. All the Western nations have been systematically disarmed. And they're getting ready to do that under Clinton. They're going to put Clinton in, and she's already talked about gun control, and she's going to fucking hammer it home. And if you didn't think so, well, here's a bunch of fucking gun control mass shooting psyops that have been carried out, whether or not, again, wholly synthetic or systemically promulgated, ultimately fucking irrelevant. It's like the no plane theory people on 9/11. They're like, we need to have a debate about space lasers and holographic planes on television. Really, do we need to have a debate again to say something I say so often that it's become an adage of mine? A 7,000-foot tall fucking clown could have knocked those buildings down with his dick. It doesn't matter how the buildings came down. Let's have a debate, though, over the exact type of explosive that was used or something. Even in the legitimate analysis, there's these kinds of little micro debates because we're just jerk-offs who need proof. We got to prove everything. If we can't prove it, do we need proof? Are we still at a point in 2015 where you need fucking proof? Who are we trying to convince? A bunch of idiots? Are we trying to convince a bunch of idiots who won't wake up no matter what we fucking do? Demoralized idiots who... I quit. You people are fucking on your own. Which is fine, because nobody listens to what I say anyway. Good luck. Good luck. You don't have very good stewards looking out for you, and they don't really care about you, and they're selfish, egotistical morons who convince themselves that by cultivating enough clout, they're doing good, because that way they can get a bigger audience, and this, that, and the other thing. But here's the thing. If you got to water the message down so far that it's meaningless in order to get a large enough audience, what's the point? I'm done. I'm going to focus. You know what? I've been busting my ass and I haven't gotten anywhere. I'm tired of hearing, you just need to get out there and build your own media empire. I've done my level-headed best. I can't get any fucking traction. People don't want in-depth analysis. They have been trained by television to want short, punchy ideas. And if you can't boil it down into a bite-sized format, or you're not a pretentious blowhard like Stefan Molyneux, who doesn't understand jack shit about the way the world actually works, you're not getting anywhere. Because it's all about the audience. It's all about, and my audience is like the point zero. There's only two groups of people who listen to what I have to say: the enemy, and a tiny, tiny fraction of those who are already awake. There's the only people, and I used to be content that was my audience, and that I'm not here to wake people up. I'm here to discuss philosophically, concepts that are integral to freeing the human species from this 14,000+ years of domination by elites, and or go into the codifying synthesis, the story behind the story on certain events. But I don't even hear an echo. I don't see other people doing this. I don't see this becoming the dominant meme. The dominant meme is to make videos going, oh my god, the stock market's going to collapse. Oh my god. And then when it doesn't collapse, no retraction. Just wait a couple months and put out another video about how, oh my god, it's all going to collapse. People want Eric Hunsaker to go, see, look, here's the latest proof of fucking HFT algobots and institutionals rigging the market, and the whole thing's a fucking debt hologram. He doesn't even use phrases like debt hologram. He doesn't even really understand what's going on, I don't think. He just thinks it's a bunch of autonomous entities all jockeying for power, and gosh, the thing doesn't work properly. He's like the average sheepletard who is like, well, there's evil people, and, there's a lot of evil in the world, and there's a lot of money and power, but there's no global elite, because Occam's razor, and, everybody's individuals, and they're all jockeying with power for one another. So there's no such thing as a massive consolidated effort. Elites would never get together at the highest level and have a plan to enslave the rest of us and accrue more power for themselves. No. We're not on the verge of being inserted into a post-human Borg beehive. No. Let's talk about the latest anomaly in one of the markets, or, in the COMEX LBMA fucking hologram. It's like, how do you think they set up the COMEX LBMA hologram, dummies? They see that, I don't think the people even see it as a hologram. They just see it as a system that's managed by tiny groups of disparate elite factions. Well, let me tell you, those disparate elite factions, they look like they're opposed. They look like they're vying with one another, but that's just because that's how you execute a good smokescreen. They're just compartmentalized. It's WWF wrestling. It's like the GOP and the DNC. The GOP and the DNC, to the average idiot, they look like they're opposed. They look like two vying entities, right? In reality, anybody who knows what's actually going on knows they're not vying with one another. They're not competing with one. Not really. I mean, kind of. In the way, you have a sales competition in the office or something like that. Second prize is a set of steak knives. Only no one gets fired. Because really, all it's really about is maintaining control over the people. And they're just super class C-3POs. It's like nobody understands Bilderberg. That it's just a policy dissemination conference. It's like E3, but instead of software, they have, here's the latest batch of supranational policy. It's a conference used to acclimate the superclass C-3PO protocol droids. They're not setting policy at Bilderberg. They're not setting policy at Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove is an excuse for these these faggots to get together and jerk each other off and have sex with gay porn stars and worship Satan and do mock human sacrifices. Psst, mock humans. They probably still kill actual kids. They're killing actual kids all year round, though, so it's not even that big of a deal anymore. It's more ceremonial at this point. See? Get it? Ceremonial? It's a little joke. So frustrated, so demoralized, so angry. The average person's fucking debating chupacabras from Planet Pop-Tart. I'm not even going to upload this video. This is for me. It's just catharsis. Just catharsis. Just getting it all out there. Just giving voice to my frustration, even if I don't do a good job of codifying it. I just want to spit in the face of the alternative news community today. Just a little spittle. I'm working for the wrong fucking side. I used to think Alex was noble for not working with the enemy. Yeah, well, he may not understand it all, really, and he may be doing something of a disservice by not providing a more complete codifying synthesis, but at least he's a good enough man to have not joined the enemy. Here's the thing. By not going all the way, you're basically a puppet of the enemy anyway. That's why they haven't killed Alex Jones, because why kill somebody who's actually helping the cause? By only waking people up just enough so that they feel like they've done something. I feel like I'm awake enough. I feel like I've done something. Now I can just go back to watching TV. Fuck me running.